how much taxes withhold, but what are ways that they can be exempt from it, okay? So who is considered as a foreign person? As a title company, I'm not going to be the one that be a judge and identify if your client is a foreign person or not, right? On the contract, there's a on the contract, the check contract, there's a section in there that discloses is a foreign person or not, you have to disclose, okay? But here's the thing, foreign person or anyone that is not a US citizen or does not have a green card, okay? And there's other ways that they can also be exempt. But right now, let's just stick to those two things, US citizen and green card. The rest are considered as foreign national, okay? So when you work with an investor that you think is a foreign national, talk with them first. Because if you disclose information once you got the contract to the title company that they are a foreign national, then we have to take the next step, right? But, and I'll show you in the next couple of slides, sometimes even if they're not US citizen and they're not US resident, they can also be exempt and they are not foreign national. Okay, interesting, right? Okay, so again, non-resident aliens, foreign corporations, foreign partnership trusts or estates. And so some corporations, you know, can be exempt from being foreign national withholding too. Okay, so what are the withholding requirements? If the FERPTA applies, 15% of the amount realized must be withheld. So when your seller is selling the property and the FERPTA do apply, 15% of what? You would think from the net proceeds, right? But no, it's actually from the sales price. Sales price. So for 300,000 home, 45,000 will be withheld. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Okay. So who is holding the money? The buyer. The buyer is holding the money. And so before, title companies usually be the one that will withhold the money from the seller, and then we file, excuse me, we file the paperwork, and then we send it to the IRS. Well, that's way too much liabilities. So nowadays, not a lot of title companies will even handle if they find out the seller is a foreign national. Excuse me. But we do, because we work with a lot of them, and so we know how it works. And but we will not be the one that handle the transaction and the money. The buyer is. Okay. So what does that mean? So let's say the contract, you put it in, the seller is a foreign national, right? The minute we find out the seller is a foreign national, we have to disclose it to the buyer side. Why? Because after the seller sold the property, the buyer is a new owner. Uncle Sam's going to go after the buyer. So now it is the buyer's responsibility to make sure that he or she understand how this works, and if they want to take on that liability. Through my experience, sometimes when buyer hears that the seller is foreign national, they would terminate the contract because it's too much work, right? It's too much work. But again, as an agent, you do not give legal advice or any CPA advice. This is educational purposes. So you can at least tell them, hey, check with your CPA or check with this or find out about different resources, right? So what are some of the exceptions? So under $1 million, the buyer needs to withhold 15%. Over $1 million, they can withhold 10%. Okay, how does that work? Let's say the buyer decides to withhold money. The buyer will let us know that I want to withhold 15%. Anything under $1 million, they can withhold between 10 to 15. Okay, so it's up to them. But most of the time, they would choose a higher amount just to be safe. So let's say 15% of $300,000, that's $45,000. We as a title company will create a line either on a closing disclosure or a closing statement that say tax withholding and then we make it payable to the IRS, $45,000. Okay, let's say the closing takes place today. Everybody funded, got the key, got the money, you guys got the commission, right? You have to give us 1 day because we have to run to the bank, get a cashier check payable to IRS, then give it to the buyer, and then the buyer and or his or her CPA has to figure out what forms to send to the IRS, and they have 20 days. 20 days from the time of funding, not when they get the check from us. So when they get the check from us, they have what? 19 days to get everything done. Okay? So that's if withholding. So, but what are some of the exceptions? Okay, what are some of the exceptions? The first one is if the sales price is $300,000 or less, the buyer will occupy the property as their primary home, or themselves or their family occupy 50% of the time within 2 to 5 years. The seller will be exempt. So just remember this, 300,000 or less, owner occupy for buyer. Seller will be exempt. Nowadays, can we find something under 300? It's kind of hard, right? So, but that's one of the ways. One of the ways. The second is, which takes the longest, is they have to submit a letter to the IRS and apply for the exemption. But this takes about 90 days. Is a seller going to wait around for 90 days? Probably not, right? And then the next one is the individual seller furnishes the buyer with a non-foreign. This is something that we will provide. So once we find that the seller is a foreign or not foreign, we always send them a documentation and they need to fill it out and consider themselves what it is, what does apply. Again, as a title company or third party, we are not a judge, right? We're not a judge that judging and say, okay, well, you are a foreign or you're not a foreign. The seller has to disclose it to us. And you don't want to be involved either, because later on, Uncle Sam can go after you and say, well, Judy told me this, right? Okay. But the last one I added in there is called the SPT. SPT stands for Substantial Presence Test. Okay. What does that mean? There's a lot more details. I'm not going to dig through into it. More likely you need to talk to a CPA. But what that means is a foreign national has to reside a certain amount of days in the U.S. every single year or during the period of time. Then they qualify for it. So who would let us know if the seller is going to be SPT exemption or not? CPA. Okay. So let's say I came from Vietnam. I'm an investor from Vietnam. I came here in the U.S. and, I may be back and forth here 6 months here and there, right? I do business here in the U.S. I pay taxes every year to Uncle Sam. I do my CPA. I work with a CPA, right? So I file taxes. The CPA can confirm and send a letter saying that Cindy Vo has passed the substantial presence test. So what should you know as an agent and you represent the seller? If you know that your seller is an investor who has been traveling back and forth between the U.S. and their country, right? First thing you ask is, have you worked with a CPA? They say, yes. I've been doing business here and stay here sometimes for the last 10 years. Then say, ask your CPA if you're a foreign national or not, right? Because the CPA would know. And then if the CPA tell them you're not a foreign national, great news, move on. Then when you work on the contract, do not put that section in because they're not foreign national. Everything else, make sure the seller understand. So when the seller receives something from the title company verifying their status, then they need to say that I am not a foreign national. Okay? Because one time I walk into the closing and I wasn't aware of this until I get to the closing table. We were doing all this tax withholding, right? And we were about to send taxes out after the closing. And then I spoke with the clients, they're Korean. And that's when I found out that they have been living in the US for 20 years. And the home that they're selling is actually their primary home. So they actually passed the SPT test. Okay, so then I asked the agent, do they have a CPA? I'm sure you live here for 20 years and you own properties here and you gotta have to pay taxes. You can't get away with Uncle Sam for that long, right? So then she said yes, they've been filing taxes and pay for taxes every year. And I say, well, you know what? Make a quick phone call to the CPA. So then I got on the phone with the CPA, and the CPA said, oh yeah, they passed a SPT test. They've been here, they've been paying taxes. And so I was like, okay, hold on 1 second. Now I have to go back and I have to change my documents. Okay. But again, all of these are not only how the law applies, but you as an agent or incoming agents, there are things that you need to know to avoid issues or any delays in the closing process. Because what happened when a closing got delayed, right? The clients could be ending up losing money, and then you losing your commission that you worked so hard for, right? So, and then the main thing is your reputation. They'd be like, how long you been doing this? And you don't know any of this stuff. So 2 ways. Best thing is option 1, 300,000 or less, and buyer, owner, occupy. Okay. And if you know your seller is a foreign national and you got an offer in, maybe talk to the buyer's agent and say, hey, is your buyer intend to live in this property as a primary? And if they say, oh, yeah. So then you know that, okay, well, my seller can be exempt, right? Then you can avoid all the other issues coming after because they're not foreign national anymore. They can be exempt from that, right? Any questions so far? Yes. Oh, good. Hold on. Johnny?
Okay. In the morning, I talked with a friend who sold his house yesterday, and the buyer asked for the to withhold the amount of 50%, but he didn't make the document, the SPT document. That could be a problem in the future for him or for the buyer, just to know.
Okay. So what happened after the buyer do the withholding and then send the proper documents to the IRS, right? Basically, there's nothing to worry on the seller side because here's what happened. When the IRS received the check and also the proper documentation, right, the IRS will go back and look at the seller status and if he has been paying taxes or whatever. And let's say right now we're in March, right? Usually, let's say towards the end of the year or something, whenever tax time, if the seller paid taxes for that year, whatever left, the IRS will reimburse it back to the seller. But that will protect your buyer, right? Let's say the buyer did not know about it, did not withhold the money, and the seller decided go back to his country or something for this year and not paying any taxes to Uncle Sam. Now the property is now through the foreign national status. So Uncle Sam's going to go after who? The buyer. Now the buyer have to put out what? How much? $45,000 to pay Uncle Sam. Right? So yes, as long as the seller is paying taxes for that year, then they can get reimbursement back. If they don't, then those goes to the IRS. But let's just say that is after the fact, now that you just closed. And then the buyer just find out that the seller is foreign national. You can go back to the title company that handled the transaction and then say, hey, did you guys not do your due diligence and find out about all this stuff? Like that's part of the policy insurance, the owner's title policy insurance that's protecting your buyer. Every time you close out a title company, that's part of it. Okay. So again, if it's over $1 million, the withholding rate is 15%, or 10%. Again, we don't tell the client how much to withhold. They have to tell us how much to withhold. And then as a title company, we always have them sign the form that will hold us harmless and basically give us instructions. Now, sometimes I've done in the past what the situation is, the buyer and the seller, they're Hispanics and they know each other, right? They know each other, they're friends. And so I was, all I can tell them is, the seller's a foreign national, are you going to withhold taxes? And he said, no, I know them. And I said, okay, I can't give you any legal advice, but please double check with your CPA. So whatever he does, and then he's like, no, I know them. Whatever taxes, we'll handle it after the fact. And I said, okay, I need you to sign here. So you didn't come back and sue Cindy for it. So there's instructions of how they want things to be handled. And then, that's just a choice, right? All we do is just disclose information. Yes.
What about the seller? One of them is a U.S. resident. The other one is not.
So that depends if they're married or not. Okay.
Family, like brother, sister.
I would suggest to go to the CPA, but based on my experience, if let's say the brother and the sister are the owners of the property, each have 50%, right? The one that says U.S. citizen is not going to be liable for taxes. And then the one that's not a U.S. citizen is going to have to pay 10, 15% taxes on their 50% interest. Okay. If it's a married couple, then it depends. I don't think you can marry someone that is non-foreign national anyways, because even if you marry someone from overseas, you are sponsoring them, and I believe their status is going to be non-foreign national. But double check with the CPA. Based on what I understand is, if it's non-married couple, then whoever is not a U.S. citizen or a U.S. resident will have to pay the tax, and the others don't. Yes.
If I want to sell my house to my friend, I'm not a resident or citizen. I have my employment authorization.
I-10?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No.
Oh, employment. Yes.
Employment
Yes.
authorization document. So, do I have to get the SPT to sell the house?
You should. So what I would do if I were you
Mhm.
is need to talk to a CPA.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she's going to come up and later on today. I'll introduce you to one of them. That she's specialized in foreign nationals and also business corporation and all that too.
Mhm.
So talk to her, and then she will give you advice of whether you pass the SPT or not. Let's say once she say that, Johnny, you pass the SPT, moving forward, you are not a foreign national anymore. Unless for that year you don't pay certain taxes, but she'll give you the advice. Okay? Yes. Anything else? Oops, hold on. Okay, yeah, so that's section 20 on the contract, federal tax requirements. If the seller is a foreign national, you need to make sure this is disclosed, to the buyers. Contract to issue between the buyer and the seller, parties should be directed to consult a CPA or tax attorney. Okay, don't give them advice. Okay, any questions? Okay, so like I said before, before all the lenders coming out with the foreign national loan programs, you work with investors, they buy everything here as cash, right? So another thing I want you to know is, how do we accept funds for foreign national investment closing? So way back then, we will accept funds international. So your client can send money from their country to us, and then we close, right? One of my bad experience is one time the closing got delayed for 4 months because from Vietnam, it depends on how they feel that day. Okay, that's how I learned. Because I did a closing for one of my Vietnamese investors, and it was a $250,000 closing, and the wire was sent like this. We got it within 3 days. Boom, happy, close, right? And then afterwards, on that particular client, and again, I've never been back to Vietnam for 33 years, so I don't know. But based on my experience is they put a limit on certain person or people of how much money you can send out a day, a week, a month. So then with the second closing, they can only send out like I believe 5,000 every week or something like that. So it took 4 months for them to send all 300,000 to us. And of course, we couldn't close that deal because the seller couldn't wait for 3-4 months. So the buyer ended up losing money, a home, all that stuff, and the seller moved on. So that's why moving forward, we do not accept international wires anymore. How does that work? Let's say if you're representing an investor from overseas, you would ask them politely that, may I ask you where your funds are right now, right? Is it in your country or is it in the US? And most of the time, of course, that we say, well, it's in China and Vietnam or wherever, right? Then you would tell them, I would suggest for you to open an account in the US. Now, they cannot open an account in the US, so for a cash transaction, title company don't care where that money comes from, as long as good funds, which means that we need to get either in cashier's check form or as a wire, right? So let's say I live in the US and my mom is from Vietnam and she's buying a house, right? Either she needs to wire the money into my account here first, and then I use that funds to go to the closing, right? Or if I have money, I don't have the money, but if I have that kind of money, I can go ahead and purchase a cashier check or send a wire and then send it to the title company. And then title and everything will still be in her name. That's the best way. So what I've seen in the past is a lot of investors would fly over here, and depends on their documentation, because sometimes they do business here, but they don't live here. They travel back and forth, right? They still have the ability to open the bank account. Remember one thing, let's say that, overseas, they may have Chase or Bank of America, all the big banks like we have here. It's not the same. Okay, it's not the same. What that means is, let's say if I have $1 million in, the bank in Vietnam for Bank of America, and I cannot expect to tell Bank of America to just wire the funds to the title company here, because they're a separate entity. So keep that in mind. Even if it's the same bank, the one overseas is not the same one over here. So they still have to transfer the funds from there over here, and it takes time. It's not like you go to the bank and you just do the debit, credit, whatever. Okay, not like that. So remember that too. But so yeah, the funds need to be here and then go to closing. So if you work with someone overseas, I would expect to have things prepared ahead of time. The minute they decide that, hey, I want to buy an investment property, then find out where the funds are, what the plans are with the funds, and then talk to the CPA, because a lot of times they could be buying the property here for their international children, like students, right? That too. So who's going to be on title, all that good stuff. That way it helps you prepare to avoid issues. Okay, so that's how the funds need to be. No more international wires unless you have time. Okay, so like I'm working on this commercial deal right now, and yesterday I just realized I received like 10 international wires. Okay, but again, that's not closing until like 2 months from now. So they start doing that. That's okay. Not that we don't accept it, but we don't suggest to, get it done too close to the closing time. Okay. And speaking of, the CPA who's familiar with foreign national, she just stepped in. So this is Tiffany, and she specializes in foreign national. I spoke with her before doing the class for you guys today, just to make sure I understand everything. So I'm sure she'll give you her contact information, and she can make an introduction after Judy Wang. But please get with her, Johnny. I will connect you with her, and then she will give you advice of how things to get done in order for you to be, exempt from the tax withholding if you sell your property. Okay. No issues when you buy. It's only when you sell. You can buy as many you want, but it's when you sell, that's when you have to pay Uncle Sam. Okay. Any questions before I bring up the next presenter? Oh, yeah. Anyone's got, oh, here. So this is Judy Wang. She has been a lender for how long now?
3 years.
3 years. And they do have the loan program for foreign nationals. Okay. So once you
You should
understand how
come
it
up.
works, if you have investors that say, hey, I'm just going to buy this property for cash, tell them this before you do. Well, that's great because we all love cash, but let's try to leverage it. Why don't I introduce you to a lender that can possibly do a loan for you? So instead of putting all cash in for one investment property, now you can invest 3 to 4, right? So what that means for you, ching, 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 more commission. Okay, help me welcome Miss Judy Wang.
Hello, everyone. So I'm with Quality First Mortgage, and we do all different type of mortgage loan for residential and some commercial. And today we want to talk about the like Cindy said, because I didn't turn it on, foreign national financing and how it works. Once there's different guidelines but especially we're talking about down payments. So I don't know if you guys know that we can actually finance people who have work full-time outside of the country. Say that if they have business or they have full-time job outside of the country, that we can still verify those income. And if we can verify those income, then they can the minimum down payment can be 25% up to $1 million. And if I have up to 1.5 million is 30% down, and then up to 2 million is 35% down. And again, if we can verify the 2 years employment, or if they have business, we can do P&L or CPA or some kind of licensed accountant letter. If we can have that, then we can verify the income, and we consider them as self-employed or full-time employees. And the DTI, because when we verify income, we have to use the debt to income ratio, which is up to 43%. But most foreign national, if they don't want us to check income or they don't have income to verify, they have money, and which is fine, that the down payment would just be 5% more. So basically 30% down up to 1 million, 35% down up to 1.5, and 40% up to 2 million. So there's flexibility there. So it depends on, you do want to talk to your client. Hey, do you have employment or self business that we can verify or not? And it depends on, you tell them, hey, it's 20. I know financing that you can just buy a house with 25 with 30%. And so for both verify income or no income verification, what we need 1007. Do you guys know what 1007 is? 1007 is, we do appraisal, right? Every house that we have to do appraisal. But 1007 is appraisal for rental. So it's when we do DSCR or like foreign national, that's what we call 1007. So when we do that 1007, that value of the rental can be added to the income if we're doing the income verification. So that helps with the qualification on the DTI. Or if they're short-term rental, and then we have to do 75% of that income, because short-term rental has a cleaning fee and things like that. So that helps with that. So and that give you those are the questions that you can help the client, because when they always have questions, and then when if they're doing short-term rental or rental, then that helps you qualify them a little bit. And also we can do cash out too. If they bought the house cash or they have a significant amount of equity, that we can do cash out up to 65% LTV, which is, basically they need to leave 35% of the value in the home. And we can actually do 1 to 8 units, not just 1 to 4. We can do 1 to 8 units. So you have multi-family and things like that, basically, but up to $2 million. And condos, pod, single family, rural area, and manufactured home. Mixed use. Mixed use means you have residential, at least 51%. That's residential, means commercial use like less than 50%. Say if you have like in a residential area, you have like a small retail shop or small, say part of it is like a insurance company or something that you can do this type of foreign national loan as well. And so earlier Cindy talked about banks, that for as a lender, we don't require that you have a US bank account before closing, but it's like, but according to her, for her requirements that she wants the like a funds in the US bank, but we need to have a US bank or a bank that has a US branch so that we can do an auto payment. And so that's the requirement. And also you have one bank reference letter, at least 2 years history. It can be any bank in any country. So that's not, I mean, most people, if they have that kind of money, I hope they don't just tuck in the mattress, that they should have a bank account. So I don't think that one is hard. And also 2 months overseas bank account statement, and we need to source the deposit. Basically, still need to, just like the US, you know, your conventional FHA, you just need to know where the money comes from. And so next one is we need to 12 months reserve. PITA is principal, interest, property tax, insurance, and HOA. We need to have the 12 months reserve in a liquid amount account, like checking or asset, checking or savings, not in stocks, not in retirement fund, not a retirement fund, okay, but not in like house or some business or basic liquid asset. And get this, that we can also accept gift funds if they have 20% of their own money, and then the 5 to 10% based on their verified income or not verified income, they can actually get a gift from relatives. So that's also a good thing. So if they don't have all the money on their own, and also can close in LLC, but all members have 25% or more of the ownership, will have to sign a closing. But it can be online closing because the person can be anywhere in the country. And so we can also do a first-time home buyer. What we call first-time home buyer is that if you don't have any type of property in any country, and then we can do, we have to ask for exception. But if you have houses or any type of property outside of the country, we can consider that as an investor, and then so that'll be okay too. And if the person has a FICO, because there are sometimes you hear on some kind of status, just not permanent residence and not U.S. citizen, but you still have a FICO, that we can still do that as a foreign national. And the interest rate starts at 7, but average is about 8.5. So that to give you an idea. So if you get to 7, it's like, you know, everything got to line up. But if you have like no income or no income verification or condo or some other things that you add up to the interest rate. So, but just give an average 8.5%. So this is just a overview of the guideline. And there's this, I know there's so many different situations with your buyers that you can always, you know, give me a call and let me know, and then I can, you know, and then this is just with one lender. We have many lenders that will do foreign nationals, and all their guidelines is a little different, but this is the more linear guidelines from what I know. So like I said, if you have any situation, any different scenario, and I can help you find a lender if I can. So next I want to talk about why, like Cindy said, if your client has cash, $300,000 cash, Why do they just buy one? If we can utilize the foreign national financing, they can actually buy 3. And here's the number. If 300,000 cash, if you purchase one property, and say that we, earlier, when I talk about, say, let's use 30% down payment, right? If with 30% down payment, 90,000, and that's one property. And say because buying house, all we want is, why do we buy investment properties? Because we want that appreciation. So say 5% annual appreciation, growth appreciation. After 10 years time, the house will grow to 488,000, and that's one house. But if you use that financing, you can buy 3 houses with 30% down on each. Your house will 3 houses will grow to 1.4 million. That's with 5% annual growth. But in North Texas, it's 8% annual growth average in the past 10 years, in which I'll show you. And 8% annual growth appreciation, after 10 years, one house will grow to 649,000 with the $300,000 when you purchased originally. And with 3 houses will be 1.9 million. That's the value. And your market rent is 2,300, and then you have the mortgage principal and all the tax insurance to cover that. So basically, the tenant is paying for your mortgage. But after 10 years, you say, well, I have principal balance, which one house approximately about principal balance left about 181,000. So 3 houses, you have like 543,000 balance. So, but your appreciation, say you have 8% annual appreciation, your house, 3 houses grow to 1.9, and minus your balance, 543, your potential return in 10 years is $1 to $1.4 million. Instead of one house, your annual appreciation is 488 minus your balance 180, you're at 300,000. So utilize the same amount of cash, utilize the financing option that you can get to the return in 10 years, you can get to 1 to 1.4. So this is the power of compounding on the appreciation and utilize of the financing. And this is based on the 8% interest rate. So, and this is from Netris, the real, if you realtors that you have this in your Netris trained, you can plug it to scene. And I plugged in as entire MLS and the comparison between entire MLS and Collin County, and in 10 years time, 2014 January, between January and now February 2024, the growth rate is 8%, 8.3, 8.5. So that is why that I was using 8%. So this is something that you can plug in your area, zip code or a specific address for your client, show them, hey, this is the average of the growth, and why not take advantage of the financing, and so that you can grow your money 3 times higher. So that's my presentation for now. So yes.
What about the term of the loan?
It's 30 years.
30 years.
Yes.
Their penalty will be up early.
Yeah, there will be penalty. Either you can cut 3 years, 5 years, or you can do 0 years penalty. You can do, so we can do that too. But of course, it's a little higher interest rate. Yes.
What about the interest rate? It depends on the interest rate of the market, or
The market and the type of house, and like I just mentioned, also the prepayment penalty. There is a 0 year, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Depends on what your client wants to, how long they think that they want to keep that interest rate, or how long they want to keep the house. So it depends. Any other questions? No? Yes. Thank
Tiffany,
you.
you want to come up and introduce yourself real quick, so they know where to find you?
I can get that
And
later.
not me. Morning, everybody. All right, so I'm glad this is a great topic to have, because the past 3 months I have a lot. I mean, for real estate,
definitely you have a lot of foreign investors bring in money and you want to help them out, choose the right and the best investment, right? So regarding international tax,
Okay. Better?
Yes.
okay, so regarding international tax in the US, it is a separate section of the tax law. And I would say any preparer can help you file the reports. However, you need to work with the right CPA that have an experience working with foreign investors. The reason is having a foreign investors, the US tax law is not the only thing you're subject to. You're also subject to the FinCEN, with the Financial Crime Network. It is a government officials that govern, money laundering, financial crimes. So there's a lot of reportings, not only for tax purposes, but also for reporting purposes to the Treasury Department and the FinCEN. For example, if any of your client have a foreign bank account, there's a form it's called FBAR that you have to report how much they have in that bank account in the foreign country. Regardless they own it or not, as long as they have a signature authority, they can sign to disburse check or money from that bank account. They have the requirement to report this account with the Treasury Department, not the IRS. And the penalty for not filing with the FinCEN or the Treasury Department is pretty big. You're looking at $10,000 per form per year. And they don't have a good track record to waive those penalties for you. They don't. So that's why working with the right financial, a CPA that have experience and working with, foreign investors or foreign law is really important. Again, you don't have to pay taxes until you sell the property, but the other aspect of foreign tax law is reporting. And there's pretty hefty penalty for not reporting the right forms. So I'm here, and my CPA practice, we have 3 partners, and we all. Yeah. So we all have, experience working in M&A with a multinational firm. So we all come from large national public accounting firm. So my partners, this is me, and I have extensive experience working with individuals who are, on the visa in the U.S. And have asset over foreign. And I have another partner. His name is Anthony Harmon. He's a CPA and also an attorney. He worked a lot with multinational merger and acquisition, not only with real estate, but also for businesses. As you know, when you purchase commercial real estate, it's not just the property, the land, but also maybe the business on top of the land as well. And there are a lot of different ways you can structure the deal, not only through financing, but also you can structure the type of entity you want to hold the property or you want to hold the business, so that you have that blocker with the foreign country. So you don't have to, report everything in the personal, in that investor personal tax return. So, I just give you like a 10,000-foot highlight of the international tax law, but it will be years to talk about. So here's our website and my information on it as well. So feel free to, give me a call or email me if you have questions.
Any questions before she leaves?
So unfortunately, I'm not the millennial TikTokers or CPA. So I'm on Facebook. It's mostly just to stalk the investor. No, just join the mommy's groups and kind of foodie group. That's mainly my Facebook presence.
LinkedIn, right?
I do have LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn is our Facebook actually.
That we don't use. Well, I don't use.
You gotta use it.
Yeah. Okay, so mainly working by emails. I respond to email very often. So yeah, my email will be tiffany@hnkcpa.com. Just my name, Tiffany, Tiffany, hnkcpa.com. And because you joined the section, so I'm going to just give you my cell phone. I don't give away my cell phone easily, right? So my cell phone is 972-632-0450. So you can text me. Yeah, 972-632-0450. All right, cool. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. So we do have, every month we conduct 2 classes. Most of the time, the first Thursday is a commercial, and then the third is residential. This month it was different because of all the spring break. And then so the first commercial, next commercial workshop is actually next Thursday, starting at 10 a.m. Please register. He's going to pull up the agenda. I mean, not the agenda, but the calendar. And the topic for next Thursday is on multifamily. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know multifamily is what apartments, right? But we're actually going to bring a developer in who will share with you what we call it a restricted multifamily. So senior living, assisted living, and memory care. Okay.
Right.
So every time that we have the class in here, lunch, and then we will take everyone on a site tour. It's a brand new senior living down the street, 7 minutes away, brand new. They were built during the pandemic. So if you want to come, please register because there's only limits. Treat this like a field trip. We can only take so many students, and we do not want to disturb all the elderly people at the senior living. Okay, so if you're interested, please sign up. It will be here at 10 a.m. next Thursday. Check in at 9:30. We'll share over all the information from the lending background, from the lending perspective, closing, title, contract, and then the developer will come in and share with you guys, if you represent buyer or seller, what are the things that you need to know when it comes to senior living. And then special loan shops, because you'll be dealing with a HUD, right, with government loan programs. And then we will share with you the project, how it was built in Uganda. And then we'll have lunch, and then we go to the senior living. Okay, I went there and took a tour, and I just can't wait to become 62. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Some of you are here because you want to learn more about, what Daniel and We Partners does. If you want to stay back, he can share about what he does and his amazing group with the culture. So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you, Cindy and Judy and Tiffany. The main thing about these classes that we're doing is, one of the things as being a broker for, over 20 something years is, I was doing these trips just for education. Cindy combined it like, hey, why don't we do a hybrid where actually we have a sit down class and then we go to do the tour instead of having 2 separate events. That's great because time, right? So appreciate you bringing these together. So she already has a whole year filled out for these classes. So make sure you connect with Cindy and to do that. What is We Partners Network? We're part of our EXP platform. When we came in this platform 3 years ago, I realized that what agents were needing is actually a community, right? Because one thing we learned about the platform is actually we're owners of this company now. I'm no longer just the broker and I have agents. Everyone is basically on the same playing field. We're all owners of this company together. And when I saw that, I said, well, we're creating a real estate club because we can do different things. It's beyond brokerage, right? I had a franchise before as well, so I understand that buying a franchise that helped enhance with tools, but it didn't do anything with my agents where they didn't own the company with me, right? So this allowed everyone to have ownership, and by having this community created, it's up to us to create what we want to do. So we have a vision of just bringing good entrepreneurs together, finding people like Cindy, Judy, and everyone else coming together. Where if you're new in the business, you're a partner. You're not. Yes, you're new. You're still learning, but it doesn't mean you have a skill set. You can bring something to the table. So the goal of everyone is just bringing to the table. We get to share. We get to leverage. We get to learn from each other, and we get to build a legacy together. So if you want to learn more, I can go over more stuff. And kind of share who's not in the XP, then I can kind of get to. Okay,
One
okay.
question.
Who's not in EXP? It's a brokerage. It's a platform. Okay. So, a lot of people look at, well, I'm looking for a broker. I know there's some new students. You're looking for a broker, and one of the things that the trend is, you're always just the agent. You're renting your license with a brokerage, but you don't own it. Where this platform, Glenn Sanford found a solution where everyone's an owner together, and because of that, that allows us to grow. I'm no longer just in Texas. My license is just in Texas, but I have teams in Florida, New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, and everyone has the same opportunity. So one of the things what we did is, yes, it's a cloud-based brokerage, but they were able to eliminate cost. So how do you eliminate cost? Well, by going to the cloud. Well, what does that look like? They created a software basically to eliminate the brick and mortar, just kind of like Blockbuster and Netflix, Uber, taxi cabs, Airbnb. We are basically a tech platform. One second.
And you all like playing games, right?
Yes.
This is a game.
Give it a second. Technology. Server could be down.
So if you're hungry, stay back and we'll go lunch.
Try Safari.
Where are we going? That's important.
Where are we going? Bang.
Where are we going?
Well, if you got me a grill, I'll get grilled steaks in the back. Let's see. There we go. So basically, they eliminate brick and mortar by going into the virtual world, the metaverse. Doesn't mean that we just operate here. We have a physical office ourselves in our team. But you as an agent or your team in the future, we're licensed in all 50 states. We're global in 24 countries. That means you can grow a team in Dubai. You can grow a team in Mexico without being licensed there because the company itself is licensed. So when I looked at this platform, I realized this took away a lot of barriers for me as an owner, as a broker, and entrepreneur. So
Who doesn't like Dubai?
And you don't have to be a broker to have a team.
hi, Holly. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful, and you, Danielle?
Good. I have a full classroom here at the office, and they just got training on Foreign National Real Estate Act, and they're just looking at the world on the screen, so they see you.
Wonderful. Well, welcome.
So what help can agents or their future team get in the Texas broker room?
So they can pop into the Texas broker room, and we do have brokers available and our transactions. So for a broker, if they want to come in here, they can talk to a broker about their contracts, compliance, what to do, any advice, MLS, any legal issues or check-related forms. And then if they want to speak to transactions, they can help with any like CDAs, settlements, helping put in the sky slope, commissions. So pretty much anything to do with that transaction part of it. We also have our state meetings in this room as well. That's located in the Texas Auditorium. And then expert care is also up here to help assist.
All right. Thank you, Holly.
Yes, you're so welcome. You guys have a wonderful holiday weekend.
All right. Thank you. You too. You're a live person. You're not AI, right?
I am a live person, correct.
All right. Thank you. So Holly is one admin, reception, whatever you want to call her, for that state of Texas. How many real estate offices are in Texas? Not just HB. There's thousands. Every office has a higher admin, receptionist. We just eliminated the workforce of 900 something people to one person. So cost savings. So you have to understand how a company is able to disrupt and do cost savings. Okay. It's kind of weird because it's like a video game, but you're not paying for brick and mortar, right? So the company can offer certain things. So who are our brokers? Who do I talk to when I come in? So Michael Hughes is talking to Jesse. So the brokers are here. They're employees of EXP. They work for you. Their job is to service the agents. You don't work for them. this model is flipped, right? So as I'm growing a team, I have a whole, I think there's 14 or 15 managing brokers just for Texas that service my team in all markets, Houston, Austin, and that's the same thing for you guys. So you have to understand this is that opportunity. This is a platform and how you want to leverage it. If you just want to just sell homes and not worry about all the stuff, that's fine too. But you're in a platform. There is a platform now that allows growth. So you come in. Whoops, they were talking. I don't want to bother them. But yeah, so the brokers are here, and say Michael Hughes is only focused on land, and he's not a big residential guy. He's a land guy. Well, if he doesn't know the answer, guess what? He can go to his colleague. Hey, can you come in this room real quick? I have a hard question. I just want to confirm. They can. It's not just one person you're talking to. You can talk to multiple people together. Okay. Oops. So another thing is classes, right? So say there's a live class going on, and we have multiple auditoriums, not just one, probably over 100 auditoriums. And if there was a live class going on right now, you would hop in. You'll have the speaker. You'll have slides, just like you had here today. No difference. This technology is since 2009, before Zoom, right? So we've been a disruptor since 2009. I bet the technology was not all there yet. Today, it's a very different animal that it is. So we have 90,000 agents in this company, or I call them shareholders, because we all own the company together. We're the largest independent brokerage in the world, right? Yes, KW has, I think, 150,000, but they're all individual, independently owned and operated franchises. We're one company, okay? So if you want to get into details, I can. But the main thing, I just want you guys to know that we are a community, not just a brokerage. If you want to go, join a brokerage, that's fine. But we're a real estate community that we're wanting to grow. My focus is in investments, so I own shopping centers. Well, guess what? I have 200 something people. Later on, when we have 1,000, we got a project. I can go to the 1,000 in our community and say, hey, let's raise capital, $10,000, $50,000. Let's go buy this property together. Because my goal is to make sure you guys have ownership, right? Not just the brokerage ownership, but also real estate ownership, because that's how you're going to build wealth. If you're just doing sales, guess what? You're chasing after every deal. And the day you stop doing production, you have no more income, right? So get into the real estate investing side earlier. Second is when you're building a team, guess what? There is a revenue share component. Because of the cost savings, the company shares their revenue back to agents. So there is a revenue share component for top producers. A lot of companies, they give their nice trophy to their top producers. Well, this company actually gives you a trophy and they give you more equity into the company. We're publicly traded on NASDAQ, right? We're not a small company. We're, I think, S&P 600. We just hit that mark this year. You can look over, you're the CPA, so you can check our financials. We're the only real estate company that's debt-free. We're the only real estate company that's debt-free. Because we have no brick and mortar, we have no real estate. The headquarters is here. All the 2,000 employees work in this little virtual world. So, any questions? Let me know. Whoever invited you, just set up another meeting with me. I would love to go over more details because there's a lot of information. I mean, I couldn't do it when I first understood this platform. I didn't understand it right away. But the way I'm explaining it, the way I'm seeing it, I have a plan, and I just want to share that plan with you guys if it fits your plan and your goals. Because for me as a leader, I just want to make sure that you come into a platform that you can learn and you can connect with more other partners, not just with me. If it's all about me and just connecting with me, then it's not going to duplicate. You're not going to grow. So I want you to connect with all the other partners because we all have talent. So content creation, video. I have people that are photographers that are helping their team with more content creation. I got a podcast studio down the street in one of my shopping centers, and Cindy's great. And then her husband's in our platform. Judy is a mortgage, but she's also in our platform because she's also has a real estate license. So there's a lot of talent that's here that's very different from any other brokerage, because most brokers, when they buy a franchise, their goal is for you to sell because that's how they make their money. They cover the expenses. For me, it's more about the people. So All right.
What do you guys have for commission, like, since,
Yeah.
you know, everybody has like 50/50 or?
Yeah. So EXP is on an 80-20 split, capped at 16,000. So it's kind of average. But that 16,000, you can get it back in a couple of ways. Either a top producer, you get that $16,000 in company stock, or you start building up a team nationwide or globally where you actually have revenue that covers that 16,000. So actually, you have an opportunity to actually cover your costs and actually have a profit. And if you want me to go over numbers, I can. I mean, just
I mean, it's up to them if they
yeah.
wanna
So
know.
if you want me to go over more numbers and just kind of show you that, I can.
How do we set up a meeting with you if we wanted more information?
I'll introduce.
Yeah, just whoever invited you, please, they'll put us in a group chat and then we'll set up all the materials, videos.
It's actually a closer for a lender.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, I'll do it real quick. Since I'm up here.
Yeah, so we have some people here that wants to do wholesale, land development, you know, retail, hotel, all that stuff.
So let me put the number slide up there real quick so you guys can understand.
Do I need to call them in first?
No, it'll be fine. We can find some place.
We just have lunch in the patio,
Yeah.
some margarita.
So all the slides I can give it to you, but I'm just gonna go through it really quick. And let's just go over the numbers. So we're on an 80-20 split, capped at 16,000. What does that look like? So you got 80,000. This is gross commission income for the new agents. 20,000 goes to EXP. This equals to $16,000. This is what we call the cap. This is what EXP would get. But a lot of people don't understand where this money goes, right? It goes to EXP. Well, EXP's 20% actually goes, 50% goes to what we call rev share. Rev share. They share 50% of their revenue back to agents. Remember those stocks I mentioned, the icon agents, the top producers? They still have to use this money to buy roughly around 20 to 25%, depending how many icon agents are produced. So they still have to buy stocks for those top producers. And if you're producing, you cap, you also get some shares as well. Those brokers, the operations, roughly 20 to 25% equals is for operations. So all those brokers that are employees, the accounting, tech support, all those people, the company operates very lean, 20, 25%. The rest actually goes to agents. So if a company is able to operate that way and have a profit, you know, they're disrupting the market. So we go to rev share. How do I build a team? What does that look like? Is there a napkin? Oh, here it is. So just quickly, you're here.
Anyone who hasn't signed in yet?
You're doing production. You either are doing production or don't have to do production. You're just in the company, $85 a month. That's the monthly cost to be in the company. But if you say, hey, I do want to build a team, or I know people that are in real estate in different markets and I want to make those connections. Well, tier one, we're not a multi-level marketing company because we're not selling a product. We have a growth model like a multi-level. We copied KW's model because they have profit sharing. They're the ones that pioneered that level system for real estate. But for EXP, we can share the revenue. So say Sally comes in. Sally can be in Atlanta, in New York, Puerto Rico, Dubai, Israel, wherever EXP's at. She joins because of your influence. You make 3.5% of her gross commission income. So if she did a $10,000 deal, the following month you got $350. If she caps that year, she hit that mark, this is equal to $2,800. Okay, not a whole lot, but you got some revenue. What if you found 10 people like Sally? Sally can be in different markets, or the 10 people can be in different markets. And they're all producing 80,000 in gross commission income. In our market in Dallas, that's selling 6 to 4 homes. That's $28,000. What's your cost? 16. I just covered your costs and you just made a small profit. Now we go down to tier 2. Sally brings on John. John can be in whatever market EXP is at. Now, because you have 5 or more tier 1, everyone in your tier 2 equals to 4%. That's what that exponential share does. So 0.2%, 3.8, that's equal to 4. Now, everyone in your tier 2, anyone that your tier 1 brought in, they're equal to 4%. That's equal to $3,200. Okay? I always stress these 10 people. Are these 10 people really serious in real estate? Are these people team leaders? Are these people who want to grow and they want to run with you? Right? You got to find your partners, right? Well, guess what? If they're running with you, they understand the platform, they're running with me, they're plugging in, they're serious in the business. All I share is 10, get 10 people each. Okay? Your 10 partners get 10 people each. Now you have 100 people potentially in your tier 2. And if they're all plugging in, learning classes, plugging with Cindy and Judy and doing stuff, and they're selling 4 to 6 homes, this is $320,000 plus the 28,000. This is 348K cash potential revenue annually. Okay. This is a goal, and that's only tier 1 and 2. We go down 7 levels. So for me as an investor, when I looked at it, like, well, the model works because I know I can build. I know I can connect with people. But then I was like, well, I'm also an investor. If I wanted a net $348,000, our market is around 6% return on an investment. That's equal to $5.8 million. I would have to buy a shopping center cash, $5.8 million, get a 6% return to net me 348. For any agent, which one's harder? Is it harder to save $5.8 million? Or is it easier to build up a organization and learn what our leaders are doing and just duplicating? They're both hard, but which one's harder? And that's what I share. And when I saw that, I'm like, I realized EXP has a platform for people who want to be, who are serious in the business, right? Because as an agent, guess what the cycle is? You become a top producer. Guess what? You probably become a broker, and then also build up your team in the future. You can do that day 1. You don't have to wait 4 years to become a broker or to be a top producer. You don't have to do a deal if you want to, if that's your choice. So it's just depending on what you want to do. Some people are like, well, I'm just making money off of agents. Well, no one's going to join you if there's no value. So that's why we're creating this community together, because that's the value. You're bringing on somebody not just because of you, because of what we're doing. And that's going to help you grow. And that's why we've been growing from 3 years ago, we're at 3 people. Today, we're over 200, right? 200 gets 1, that's 400 people. When I'm at 400, 400 gets 1, that's 800. Duplication gets faster and faster, compounding, right? So that's what I want to kind of share what we're doing. I think we're unique compared to a lot of other EXP groups because most of them are residential. We are more on the commercial side, resi-mercial, a lot of residential leaders, resi-mercial agents. I do have the brick and mortar, so we do have our classes. And we can do a hybrid, right? Where we can have EXP classes here and watch it and mastermind afterwards. Up to us, right? I don't have to do it. We don't have to do it, but those are options. So the main thing about this, what I like, is I've been able to be more creative. As a broker, it was kind of stale. Agents were in and out. They're like, oh, me. And I'm like, this is not about just you. It's about all of us. But agents, sometimes they think that way. And that means they're not a partner. So I truly believe that this is how we're going to grow, because everyone needs to they need to know that you're a partner in this. So if you're interested and you want to, sit down more and just kind of learn more, and I know it's hard as a new agent because there's so much stuff going on. There's a lot of expenses. They just have to have a plan. Got to find a goal, and set the plan, and surround yourself with the right people. So because there's a lot of great brokers out there, and there are a lot of great brokers that are leading, and I respect them highly. Their growth is not there. A lot of leaders, they're in a franchise, so I see that they're kind of stuck, because I was there as well. So this is a way for freedom. One more thing I forgot. So for me, it's not about the income. For me, it's about the people. I'm building a legacy for my children, because what happens I'm here also. When God takes me home one day, and we all have a timeline, what happens to my position? This position is willable to my children. As long as they get their real estate license, they will inherit my spot in EXP and also have the income. But more importantly, they're going to have the people, the leaders, all the entrepreneurs. And that's what I'm giving to my children. They're going to get all the assets. I think I'm live recording. Not telling them that now, but that's the thing, is they can gamble it away, they can throw it away, that whatever they're going to do with it, they can sell everything, but it's the people. For me, that's more valuable than the real estate assets that we have. So, okay. Oh, health insurance. Yeah. So I moved our health insurance. My brother and I moved our health insurance to EXP. We're saving close to about 21,000 in premiums annually. Nope. So it's all right. But yeah. So I mean, that's pretty much it. And like I said, sit down with us, go over details, and then my goal is to share the opportunity. I'm not trying to recruit you. If I was wanting to recruit, then I'll just be a recruiter, right? My goal is to find good partners that come together. We all have a skill set, and if this is the community you want to be in, please sit down and just go over more detail, because I want you to ask questions. Because we I just want to join, and you don't have a goal, and we don't know what your timeline is, what you're trying to do, then it's not a partnership. So I need to know what you're doing, because I share what I'm doing. I need to know what you're doing. So, all right.
Clarify your goals and then what you want to do, right? Some of you wants to do commercial, but there's so many different types of commercial, right? He's been in commercial for over 20 years. I have been handling commercial for over 20 years in the title industry as well. So, and we just not specialize in one type of commercial. It's very broad, right? But, wholesaling, for example, so there's a lot of